Neil Diamond's life is not just a story of fame, but of endurance, sacrifice, and emotional truth. Before the applause, before the sold-out arenas, there was a boy shaped by struggle and silence. His journey from poverty to global recognition reflects a deeper narrative, one of resilience in the face of rejection and pain. The music he created did not come from comfort, but from wounds that demanded expression. This is the story of how hardship became melody, and how one man's voice grew powerful enough to echo across generations and transform personal sorrow into something universally meaningful. Childhood in Brooklyn, survival before dreams. Born on January 24, 1941, in a cramped Brooklyn apartment, Neil Diamond entered a world defined by scarcity. His immigrant parents, escaping persecution in Europe, struggled daily to provide even the basics. His father walked tirelessly selling goods, often returning empty-handed, while his mother worked quietly to hold the family together. Hunger and uncertainty were constant companions. When his father was drafted during wartime, the family relocated to Wyoming, where isolation deepened young Neil's sense of displacement. These early experiences did not nurture dreams, they taught survival, planting the seeds of emotional depth that would later define his music. Finding escape through imagination. As a child, surrounded by instability, Neil sought refuge wherever he could find it. Movie theaters became his sanctuary, a place where the outside world faded into stories of confidence and joy. Watching performers who seemed fearless and free stirred something inside him, a longing for expression and connection. Though he was shy and withdrawn, he began writing small poems, using words as a way to process emotions he could not speak aloud. These quiet moments of creativity became his first steps toward music, not as ambition, but as a necessity, a way to make sense of a world that often felt overwhelming and uncertain. The gift that changed everything. At the age of 15, Neil received a modest but life-altering gift, a $9 guitar. Though worn and imperfect, it became his most valuable possession. He practiced relentlessly, fingers aching, driven by something deeper than simple interest. Music became his escape, his language, and his identity. Late nights under dim light turned into hours of self-discovery. The guitar offered him control in a life where so much felt unpredictable. It was no longer just about survival, it was about expression. In those moments, a quiet teenager began transforming into an artist, though the world had yet to notice or understand his potential. The conflict between security and passion. In 1958, Neil enrolled at New York University on a fencing scholarship, pursuing pre-med studies to secure a stable future. Yet his heart remained elsewhere. While others focused on textbooks, he carried his guitar into the streets of Tin Pan Alley, knocking on doors and seeking opportunity. Rejection came swiftly and repeatedly. Industry professionals dismissed his work as too emotional or unconventional. Still, he persisted. Torn between societal expectations and personal passion, he made a bold decision, leaving college just short of graduation. It was a risk that brought uncertainty, but also freedom to chase the only path that felt true to him. Struggling. Artist, living on the edge. After leaving university, Neil accepted a low-paying songwriting job, earning just enough to survive. When that opportunity disappeared, he faced harsh realities, living in cramped conditions, surviving on minimal food, and sometimes sleeping in unlikely places. He endured physical and emotional exhaustion. Nights were cold, days were uncertain, but he continued writing. Each rejection added to his resolve, rather than breaking it. Music was no longer a dream, it was survival. His persistence during these years defined him, proving that determination can endure even when hope feels distant. These struggles would later shape the authenticity that listeners deeply connected with. First breaks and quiet recognition. In 1965, a shift began. One of his songs reached the top 20, offering a glimpse of possibility. It wasn't instant fame, but it was validation. For the first time, his voice was being heard beyond closed doors and lonely rooms. This success marked the beginning of a gradual rise. Opportunities expanded, and his songwriting gained recognition within the industry. Though still far from superstardom, this period proved that perseverance had value. Each small achievement reinforced his belief that his voice mattered, encouraging him to continue despite lingering doubts and the long road still ahead. The price of fame. As Neil Diamond's career grew, so did the complexities of success. Fame brought admiration and financial security, but it also created distance in his personal life. Relationships suffered, and his family life became strained. 2 marriages ended, and his children experienced his absence more than his presence. The spotlight that once symbolized achievement began to reveal its cost. Loneliness persisted, even in the midst of applause. Success could not replace connection, and the emotional struggles that fueled his music remained. His songs became richer, but they also reflected the sacrifices required to reach such heights. Turning pain into music. What set Neil Diamond apart was his ability to transform personal pain into universal expression. Every heartbreak, every moment of doubt found its way into his songs. Listeners connected not just with melodies, but with honesty. His music became a bridge between his experiences and the emotions of millions. Songs like Sweet Caroline created shared moments of joy, while others captured vulnerability and longing. This ability to translate hardship into art defined his legacy. He didn't just perform, he communicated. His work reminded people that even in struggle there is beauty, and in vulnerability there is strength. Facing life's final challenges. In later years, life presented one of its most difficult challenges. A diagnosis of Parkinson's disease changed everything, limiting his ability to perform and altering his daily life. For someone whose identity was so deeply tied to music, this was a profound loss. Yet even in this chapter, there is courage. Rather than fading quietly, his story continues to inspire. It highlights the reality that even the strongest individuals face battles beyond their control. His journey reminds us that resilience is not just about rising. It is about enduring, adapting, and continuing forward despite circumstances. Conclusion: a legacy beyond music. Neil Diamond's life is more than a tale of success. It is a testament to resilience, sacrifice, and emotional truth. From a childhood marked by hardship to a career that touched millions, his journey reflects the power of persistence. He turned rejection into motivation, pain into creativity, and loneliness into connection. Even in the face of illness, his story continues to resonate. His legacy is not just in the songs he created, but in the strength he demonstrated. He reminds us that greatness is not defined by perfection, but by the courage to keep going, no matter how difficult the path becomes.